And then the other one, and this is something that younger people struggle with, is the oldest card on
Yeah.
your file isn't old enough,
Right.
right? And so if you're 25, 26, and you're like, why can't I get my credit score over 800, right?
Yep.
That's probably one of the factors they're looking at is the fact that you're still a new credit user. They don't know if they can trust you or not. It's one of those things. They'll give you the credit, but we're not gonna give you a super high score, so it limits on what access you have and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's something that you recently graduate high school, you're trying to get established, or you're recently trying to get graduate college, you're trying to get established. That's one of the factors that they're going to look at.
Yeah.
Not a lot you can do about that, except I've seen this happen. They'll listen to one of the gurus, so they go out and they cancel all their cards, or they pay a card off and then they cancel it. And that can devastate your credit. Number one, especially if it's one of the oldest ones, you
Yeah.
just lost that date. Number two, yeah, you paid that balance off, but then you also canceled that credit limit because you canceled the card. So it lowers your score overall. Well, wait a minute, I paid it off and canceled that. I should be rewarded. Well,
Mhm.
you may get a ooh-ah on the radio, but in the real world, it's going to negatively impact your credit.
Yep. Yeah. And, one thing I've heard people talk about is for their kids, to help their kids if they know, like I have one son that's very entrepreneurial. And so one thing I can do to help him to have good credit out of the gate is actually open up a card and him as a user. And so a credit card with him as a user will actually help him establish credit even before he's able to do it himself. So that's something I've heard recently. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I don't have any experience with it, but I was reading about that a couple weeks ago. So something to try
Yeah,
out.
that's one of the things that is available. I'm not personally me, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just a personal belief I have about co-signing, and
Mhm.
that's really what that is you're co-signing for that person. Another strategy, and this is one that I used with my kids, is as they were trying to establish credit. I help them look at, okay, these are the different credit cards out there because they get offers in the mail, right? They're all in college now. Or I've got one who's actually graduated, so but while they were in college, just like, they came at me, they're coming at them with all these offers and blah, blah, blah. So I'm taking the time to go through, okay, let's open these and let's decide which one's the best.
Yeah.
Well, it's the one I get the free shirt or whatever, right? No, 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 no. Let's flip it over, turn it over, and let's look at the terms and the
Yeah.
APR and stuff like that. Let's look at the terms and then apply because there are cards that are designed for students, right? So they look at the credit score and stuff a little differently than a 30-year-old, right? It's just they look at it differently and it's designed differently, so it's made for those people. So they're a little more receptive to lower scores, lower age, and things like that. But you can do what's called a secured credit card.
Mhm.
Okay? And there are cards out there where they start maybe the first year, 18 months, maybe even 2 years, where you get a credit card with a $500 limit, but you've got to deposit $500 in the bank, their bank, and they use that as collateral for that credit card. That way, if you don't pay it, the bank's assured that they're still going to get their money. But it's a regular credit card. They report it and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that you really want to do that. Going back to your comment about renting, most larger firms are doing this now where they actually report your rent and things like that on your credit report, which helps
Mhm.
as long as you're paying rent. So that's a way to establish credit and things like that. But so those are kind of the four things. One, your total balance is over 30%, right? The balance on each individual card may be too high. You may be under that 30%, but you got one or two that are really racked up, right? The combined balances are too high, and that's just the total dollar amount based on your profile. And then lastly, that oldest card, and again, you can't really do anything about that one until you get, it's like excellent is 25 years. So it's going to take you a hot minute. I think I just crossed over to excellent credit now. Like, yes. Wait a minute, that just means they got older. That sucks. So anyway,